Captain Elliot Bainbridge peered through his brass spyglass under the dim crescent moon, the relentless sea mirroring the turbulence in his heart. Aboard the valiant schooner, the Sea Whisper, his crew danced agilely on the deck, their silhouettes casting ghostly shadows that matched the swirling mists of the North Atlantic. They were hunting the fabled crimson pearl, a jewel said to be cursed with the sorrow of the sea itself. And tonight, according to ancient lore and Bainbridge's own gut, they drew near. Adelaide, the oldest member of the crew and master navigator, whose eyes held stories deeper than the ocean's abyss, approached Bainbridge. Her weathered face was tense with both anticipation and fear. "Cap'n, we should be mindful. The sea, she's whispering tonight," she advised, her voice almost swallowed by the wind. Elliot nodded solemnly, fully aware of the ocean's unforgiving nature. Stories of the Crimson Pearl spoke of immense fortune, but they also whispered of madness and desolation. As a third-generation sailor, Elliot knew the sea's lore was not just old wives' tales, but omens to be heeded. The crew's morale had been buoyed by tales of treasures and triumph, yet as the night deepened, a palpable tension swept through the Sea Whisper. Suddenly, a young lookout, Thomas, his voice barely more than a frightened shout, called from the crow's nest. "Ship ahoy, starboard side!" Every man on deck froze, then rushed to their positions as Elliot quickly lifted his spyglass. A ghostly ship, shrouded in a ghastly fog, emerged from the darkness, her sails torn, whispering across the water silently, a cursed ship indeed. Elizabeth, the ship's sturdy helmswoman, gripped the wheel tightly, her normally steady hands trembling slightly. "Is it her, Captain? The Pearl's protector?" she asked through clenched teeth. "It has to be," Elliot replied, his voice steady despite the pounding in his chest. "Stay the course, Lizzie. Ready the men." An eerie silence fell, broken only by the creak of wood and whisper of the rigging as the spectral ship drew nearer. As the distance closed, an unexpected calm descended upon Elliot. He remembered his grandfather's words, "Respect the sea, Eli, and harness her winds wisely." With a deep breath, he called out his commands, his crew responding with the precision and speed of seasoned sailors. The Sea Whisper maneuvered gracefully, her sails catching the wind as they prepared to face whatever cursed misfortune this ghostly apparition portended. The two ships were now yards apart, the mist so thick it was as if the sea and sky were one. Suddenly a figure appeared on the opposing deck, a woman, her attire ancient, her eyes reflecting the moon's silver light in a haunting gaze that froze Elliot's heart. "I seek the Pearl," he called out, his voice cutting through the salt-laden air. Her lips twisted into a sorrowful smile as she vanished, and with her the ghost ship, into thin air. Confusion reigned on the Sea Whisper. "Was it a warning or a blessing?" whispered Adelaide. Without answers, Elliot commanded them onward, his resolve hardened like the steel of his ship's hull. Days turned into weeks with no sign of the Crimson Pearl. The crew, driven by a mix of fear, anticipation, and now frustration, began to lose hope. However, on a particularly misty dawn, as if conjured by their collective will, an island appeared on the horizon, uncharted and mysterious. "There!" shouted Thomas, pointing excitedly. "It must be there!" As they approached, the seas calmed, and the island seemed to welcome them with open arms. Anchoring off its shore, Elliot led a small party through dense jungle to a hidden cove where the water sparkled unnaturally. Beneath the surface, partially buried in sand, lay the Crimson Pearl. Its glow was otherworldly, pulsating with an ancient power. Elliot reached out, his hand trembling. As his fingers brushed the gem, visions of past sailors, their ships doomed, filled his mind. He saw their greed, their sorrow, and he understood. The pearl did not just bring fortune, it bore the weight of the sea's darkest secrets. With a heavy heart, he left the pearl where it lay, understanding now that some treasures were meant to remain untouched. Back aboard the Sea Whisper as they sailed homeward, the crew was somber yet relieved. They had faced the unknown and returned wiser, if not wealthier. Elliot looked out over the rolling waves, the sea's whispers now a comforting caress, her secrets safe once more.